If you're a teacher, you know that feeling, right? The lesson's going great, and then suddenly it gets derailed by disruptive behavior. You're standing there and not sure what to say or how to get things back on track without, losing your cool. It is stressful, it's exhausting, and honestly, it can make you question everything. But what if there was a clear, compassionate way to handle these moments? Let's dive in and see what that actually looks like.
So here's our game plan. We're going to break this down into 5 key parts. We'll start with the big picture mindset. Then we'll move into strategies to prevent issues before they even start. From there, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of in-the-moment tactics for both small and big disruptions. And we'll wrap up by looking at how to solve the real root cause of the behavior. All right, first things first. We have to kind of shift our thinking. See, effective classroom management isn't just about a list of rules and consequences. It's about building a real, living, breathing ecosystem in your classroom, a place where students feel safe, supported, and respected. This quote right here really gets to the heart of it. This is a huge mindset shift. Our goal isn't to punish kids into behaving. It's to guide them, to teach them better ways to handle things, and to give them the skills they need to succeed. If you can internalize this one idea, everything else starts to fall into place.
So, what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it's all about this really powerful balance. On one hand, you have firm, clear expectations. Everyone knows the boundaries, and the rules are applied the same way for everyone. But on the other hand, you have just an abundance of care, showing empathy, building real connections, and trying to understand your students as people. You absolutely need both. One without the other just doesn't work.
And you know what holds that all together? Consistency. It's the secret sauce. When students know what to expect, when they know the rules are fair and predictable day in and day out, it creates this deep sense of security. And that security builds trust. And let me tell you, trust is the absolute bedrock of a well-managed classroom. Okay, so with that philosophy as our foundation, how do we actually put it into practice? The next big step is to build a proactive classroom. We want to create an environment where disruptions are just less likely to happen in the first place. Because honestly, the best way to handle misbehavior is to prevent it from ever starting. This quote nails it. Think about it. Your classroom environment is sending a message. A chaotic, disorganized room basically invites chaotic behavior. But a structured, orderly room, it actually guides students toward order. The environment itself becomes one of your most powerful management tools. So, how do we build that orderly environment? Well, it comes down to having a few key tools in your toolkit. It all starts with you, modeling the respect you want to see. Then you build rock-solid, predictable routines that make students feel safe. You learn to use subtle nonverbal cues, like a bit of eye contact, to redirect without ever stopping your lesson. You give students limited, positive choices to build their sense of responsibility. And you bring them into the process of making the rules, so they feel a real sense of ownership. Now, if that list sounds a little overwhelming, here's a super simple plan. Please don't try to fix everything at once. Just pick one thing this week. Maybe it's how you transition from one activity to the next, or maybe it's just the first 5 minutes of class. Focus only on that one routine. Practice it with your students over and over until it's smooth. Then, next week, you pick another one. Small, consistent improvements lead to massive change over time. Okay, but let's be real. Disruptions are still going to happen. They just will. So this part is all about having quick, confident responses ready to go so you can deal with the behavior without totally derailing your lesson. A really powerful technique here is something called a call to action, or CTA. So instead of asking a question like, "Why are you talking?" which, let's be honest, invites an argument and you probably don't even want the answer, you give a direct command that focuses on what you want them to do. You're telling them what to do next, not getting stuck on what they just did wrong. Here's a perfect example. Enough talking, get back on task. It's so clear, it's concise, and it's really not up for debate. It addresses the problem and immediately points the student back to their work. Boom, done. Or even something simpler, like this one. You know, the exact words don't matter as much as just having a phrase prepared. When you already know what you're going to say, you can respond with confidence and calm, and that keeps you in control of the room's energy. And remember this, it's not just what you say, it is absolutely how you say it. When you give that call to action, your voice, your face, your whole body language needs to be serious. This isn't a friendly suggestion. Your nonverbal cues are shouting, "I'm confident and I expect you to do this." All right, now we're going to shift gears. Let's talk about those more challenging moments. The student who argues back,
the one who just flat out defies you. In these situations, your calm, steady presence is the single most important tool you have. The goal here is to de-escalate, not to dominate. Okay, this one takes some real self-control. So imagine you say, Joe, I need you to get back to your work. And he lets out a big huff, shoves his book, and mutters something under his breath. The temptation is to jump on the huffing, right? Don't do it. That's a secondary behavior designed to pull you into a fight. Ignore it. And calmly, just repeat your first request. Joe, I need you to get on with the work now. Using a student's name is just so powerful. It cuts through all the noise, and it reminds them that you have a relationship. Repeating it gently, Joe, come on, Joe. I know you can do it, Joe. It keeps their attention, and it subtly says, I see you, the person, not just this behavior. Here's a great way to sidestep a power struggle. Take yourself out of the equation. This isn't about you versus the student. It's about the student and the rules we all have to follow. You can say something like, I get that you're frustrated, but our classroom policy is that we stay in our seats. It just immediately removes that personal conflict. Seriously, never call a student out from across the room. Public callouts lead to shame and embarrassment, and not just fuels more defiance. Instead, get the rest of the class working, walk over, and have a quiet word. Maybe even crouch down to their level. When you protect their dignity, you maintain your relationship, and you're so much more likely to get their cooperation. This next one might feel a little weird at first. When a student's energy is way up here, they're agitated, maybe aggressive, our instinct is to match that energy. I want you to do the exact opposite. Go full robot. Drain all emotion from your voice. A calm, flat, monotone delivery literally starves the conflict of the energy it needs to keep going. It's surprisingly effective. And finally, for that behavior that just keeps coming back, no matter what you do, we have to look deeper. This is where you switch roles from being a manager to being a detective. Because the behavior you see, that's just a symptom. Our real job is to figure out the root cause. This is the one question you have to keep asking yourself. What is this behavior really communicating? Because persistent misbehavior is almost always a form of communication. The student is trying to tell you something that they don't have the words for. They have a need that isn't being met. And usually it comes down to one of these four things. Is the student constantly tapping their pencil to avoid a writing assignment they're afraid of failing? Are they desperate for attention even if it's negative? Or do they just lack the social skills to ask for help in a better way? This detective work is maybe the most important part of the job, because once you know the real need, you can teach a replacement behavior that meets that need in a positive way. And then you solve the problem for good. So in the end, it all comes back to this idea of empowerment. Our goal isn't just a quiet, compliant classroom. It's a classroom where every single student feels safe enough, respected enough, and motivated enough to take on the challenges of learning and really grow. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Don't try to do everything we talked about at once. Just pick one thing. What is one proactive step you can try tomorrow? Maybe you'll practice a new routine, or maybe you'll prepare a go-to CTA, or maybe you'll just take a quiet moment to connect with that one student. Because one small, intentional step can be the start of a huge, positive change.